So yoga has a asana-based philosophy, Ayurveda has a plant-based philosophy. Now, what's the core aspect of that foundation that these acharyas figured out, which are based on the natural scheme of things?
Every human is unique. Each person, how they think, how they act, their thoughts, their environment, everything is different. So anything that is good for one person may not be good for another person. Every human being is unique.
I want to understand also, let's say everybody is born with these elements, right? But when they are born, are these already, there's already a doshas level, or they're all healed when they're born?
In Ayurveda, what we say is, Shukra Shunita Garbhashayastam Atma Prakriti Vikara Samurchitam Garbhetyachite. That means at the time of Garbha is when the Garbha is formed. When that sperm and ovum unites to form the first cell, Prakriti is determined.
So, welcome Dr. Rekha Radhamony. Welcome to this show that we called Raw and Unfiltered. I don't even know if this is a show, but apparently it's a podcast. And people have started listening to it and they're very interested. And just a little bit about it, it doesn't really have much structure to it. It's very grounded flow kind of conversation, heart to heart. We have had many interesting conversations already with mostly Indian people, I think all Indian people, but trendsetters, people who are disrupting, specifically in wellness. I don't want to just restrict it to an industry, but basically human understanding and development and mind and spirit and consciousness. So all these people just using different forms of work to enhance their life and then also of other people. So basically this is what kind of happens, the kind of people we are bringing in or who are coming in. And so yeah, I don't know anything about you. So let's just start first with like a little bit of informal introduction. Please share a bit about you, where are you, everything about yourself.
Do you know what I do? Do you know my name?
Tell me everything. I just know your name, Dr. Rekha Radhamony.
Okay, and do you know what I do?
No, please share,
Nothing?
Nothing. I'm so I was so disconnected from technology, and I just came back on social media, like using it after a long time. And Pratibha, my manager, she runs everything, literally everything.
Okay. I got reached out, I think a year ago or maybe 5-6 months back. I don't know. Okay. So this is the first time I'm invited to an interview where the interviewer doesn't know anything about me except my name.
Yeah. This applies to me as well. I don't know anything about myself. I'm changing so much all the time.
I am Dr. Rekha Radhamony. I am a 4th generation Ayurvedic doctor. I've been practicing since the last 13 years. And yeah, that's pretty much.
Are you originally from Kerala?
Originally from Kerala.
Oh, nice. So it's in your roots.
Yeah, after completing my studies, I was in Dubai for the last 12-13 years. Okay. And now I'm in India since the last 1.5-2 years, and here I am.
Where in India? In Kerala?
Kerala, yeah.
Where? Kochi?
Trivandrum.
Oh, I like Trivandrum. It's nice. So, I've walked through whole of your state, like half of it bare feet, long time ago. Through the whole coast, I came to Goa. I think it's been almost 6 years. From Kanyakumari to Goa, I came walking. And I walked through whole of Kerala coast. So, Sukhamano. So, your work, so basically Ayurveda is something I myself have, I'm quite integrated with it in my understanding of life and yoga and everything. And plants, plants is something very deep. I've been on a big journey with them. I've been to Amazons, I've been to everywhere, understanding more about plants, even flowers, and their ability to not just heal our mind and body, but really also to expand human consciousness. So Ayurveda being such an ancient knowledge, how can you describe Ayurveda, but with a deeper context to, let's say, young people of India or anywhere in the world who are so attached to modern science as the ultimate, that the focus on the how of life, how it needs to be lived with plants and all of that gets completely overlooked as something that is rather the root, and then all the other diseases come as symptoms, So how would you, what's your view on this subject?
Ayurveda is basically the word Ayur means life and Veda means science. Ayurveda means the science of life. So it is basically a very simple way of life that the acharyas of the past have made into a protocol which everybody can take and plug into their life to achieve balance. If you look at the universe, we have our planets, our everything that is there in the solar system, everything that you see around us, plants, trees, animals, everything follows a rhythm, a routine. Ayurveda basically teaches us that the more we are aligned with nature, the more balance we have. So Ayurveda is ultimately about how to bring balance in the body.
Yes.
And by bringing balance, you have peace of mind, you have better health, you have better immunity. All of that comes as a benefit of living in alignment with nature. So that is what Ayurveda is all about. So that's why in Ayurveda you have medicines that are herbal, mild, simple, practices that, waking up with the sun. Everything is aligned to how the universe is, and that makes Ayurveda the most beautiful system of medicine in the world. Because if you look at any medical system, every medical system talks about how to treat diseases. Ayurveda has an equal or more extensive wing which talks about how to prevent diseases, how to live a healthy life. So that is what makes Ayurveda special.
Amazing. That was very nice. So basically, let's nail it down into a few more simplicity for us to understand. So Ayurveda as a life science, as you described, as a philosophy, if I try to nail it down in some words, is basically human connection with nature, and that nature acting as a guide to a balanced mind and body, so we can be in harmony, so we can live in harmony with others, with ourselves, and also not destroy nature, right? But the way the modern society is evolving, there's a big disconnect from this. That's why even Ayurveda as a prevention, rather I would say a way of life, which even adapted is it's not even prevention, it's literally a way of life, right? A school of thought. Philosophy, when integrated into life, is completely life changing. So that's why it's so powerful. So what do you think in the modern society of today, where people are so intrinsically so disconnected and so connected to external as a means of happiness, and that not being nature, how do we as young or not young but like, let's say, explorers of the truth, and Ayurveda being one subject, how do we bring that understanding or bridge that gap through Ayurveda by kind of bringing knowledge and awareness to people, which goes around saying or telling them like, look, this is a way of life that can expand your consciousness, right? And how do we apply that in the modern society and also educate them about the core foundations of Ayurveda? So what are the core foundations of Ayurveda basically that can bridge this gap of disconnection?
To be very honest, having been practicing Ayurveda since the last 13 years, there is a pre-COVID Ayurveda era and a post-COVID Ayurveda era. How people
Same with wellness industry.
Even the
whole thing.
Even the younger generation, the way they look at Ayurveda, they used to look at Ayurveda before, and how they look at Ayurveda now is totally.
Which is how was it before and how is it now?
When COVID hit, everybody realized that there is this need. Okay, for COVID there was no remedy, there was no medicine. Vaccination came a little later.
And that too, you don't know how much it worked.
And people would not really, at that time it was all uncertainty and confusion where people had no idea how to tackle this. Some people were saying this, some people were saying that.
And science became a means of weapon, no? It became political. So that created more confusion.
Yeah, but at the same time, to be very honest, there was no remedy or no way to prevent it. Even people with good immunity was getting it. So everybody started thinking of natural ways and, Ayurveda and how to tackle this in a more natural way. And that is when, people started applying Ayurvedic principles. People started showing a little bit interest on Ayurveda, because until then it was all about, okay, you have this disease, you take this medicine. But now you have COVID, what do you have? Nothing. So what do you take? okay, let's move to Ayurveda. And that is how Ayurveda is practiced in a lot of India also. Okay, you don't have any treatment in modern medicine, okay, let's go to Ayurveda. Or with the modern medicine it is not reducing, then let's go to Ayurveda. So whether it is whether it was a good thing or a bad thing, after COVID, people have started believing in Ayurveda a little more. Even at that time, because people were suffering, and I used to get a lot of patients, and it became innumerable that I could not handle the number of consultations. And at that time, I had very few people in my team. I was me and a couple of my team members. We could not handle the consultations, or So at that time, what I did was I made a protocol on how to tackle COVID with the help of Ayurveda. So it was a PDF with 7-8 pages. The moment it was published, it was taken up by the Indian Express, the Hindu, every news outlet. So many people started following me on social media, on my Instagram. So many people started messaging on my website, sending emails, and that was that aha moment where it hit that people are really looking for Ayurveda and natural remedies. And I think today we are seeing a shift in people's thinking, where people understand that there is so much of modern technology and comforts available, but they have a liking towards natural, plant-based, living closer to nature, how to go back to our roots. And and being an Ayurvedic doctor, I can clearly see that shift even when I meet my patients, talk to them. It is not the same anymore.
The understanding has evolved.
Very much.
Okay, so let's talk about this, because COVID was a disruption which originated, there was a lot of fear which got people into, because there was no backup. So they were like, okay, prevention, Ayurveda was the alternative. And then over the years, it's gone from a prevention to, for a lot of people, a philosophy, to evolution and integration into their life as a way of life. Now, what is that philosophy of Ayurveda that does that? Yes, the foundations of Ayurveda. What is that? What is that naturally, it's the same like yoga. You start doing yoga out of breakups or disruptions or pain, and then you heal that, and then eventually it takes you somewhere else, right? So yoga has a asana based philosophy, Ayurveda has a plant based philosophy. Now, what's the core aspect of that foundation that these acharyas figured out, which are based on the natural scheme of things? You understand my question?
Yeah, so basic fundamental principle of Ayurveda is every human is unique. Each person, how they think, how they act, their thoughts, their environment, everything is different. So anything that is good for one person may not be good for another person. Every human being is unique. And that uniqueness, Ayurveda tries to categorize into people based on their nature. So we have Vata, Pitta and Kapha, which are the 3 doshas of the body, which are the biophysical energies of the body. Now these biophysical energies, again, when it gets faulty, we call it as a dosha. Okay. And every human being has highs and lows of these doshas. In some people, there can be 50% of one dosha and 20% of the other dosha. Based on this, each and every human being is different, and all the things that one person has to do is different from what another person has to do. And that is the beauty of Ayurveda, where Ayurveda is not a population medicine. Ayurveda is an individualized medicine. That is the foundational principle of Ayurveda, where everything has to be individualized. There is no one universal rule for anything.
There's Ayurveda, there's multiple people, right? The gap between Ayurveda and the people that is being filled by a universal blueprint, which is Ayurveda, applying to a singular person, but it applies to everybody, even though they're different. Exactly. What is the mechanism looking like? Can you explain this mechanism more on a scientific level in terms of elements which each dosha characterize?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So somebody who is like a Vata Prakriti person.
But what is Vata? First tell us what is Vata, what is Pitta, what is Kapha, for people who don't know. Many people don't know. I will tell you, 9 out of 10 young Indian people don't know what this is.
Okay. So Vata is Vata, the word itself means air.
Okay.
A person who is Vata has more of air element in them. Air element means somebody who is like, very, very much, having multiple different thoughts at the same time, ability to do multiple different tasks at the same time. People who are like, in today's day and age, people
That
call
sounds like a woman to me.
no, women.
Women are very good at multitasking, much better than men.
Okay, not like
Have you observed that? I observed that in all women. They are much better at multitasking. Men are more linear. It's very hard for us to multitask. Have you noticed?
no. I think it is not a men or a women thing, like who can multitask better. But yeah, so coming back to your question, which is what was the question again? Yeah, what is Vata? Vata means air. That means you have more of air elements. These days people talk about ADHD.
Yes.
ADHD means you're not able to focus, you don't have attention span is low, you have multiple things happening in your mind at the same time. So similar characteristics. Anything
It's a
like
mental
that.
condition of modern society, I believe, ADHD.
Yeah.
It's from all the phone and technology, man, and all this information. It's driving people. It's too busy. Everybody's mind is too vata. Really?
Yeah. So primarily, Vata means more of you're like a flow, like air. And then you have Pitta people who have predominantly fire in them. These are the people who get mostly digestive issues, always complaining about acidity, skin issues, conditions like psoriasis. People who have a lot of aggression, anger, more of Rajasic qualities. All of
I'm
these
definitely more pitta. There's a lot of fire in here.
Yeah, so basically all of that comes under Pitta. Then we have
I'm
Kapha.
pitta. I'm for sure pitta.
Yeah. Then we have Pitta where you have more of earth element. If you look at earth
Oh,
is
pitta also has earth. It's fire and earth.
Kapha.
Kapha. Kapha is earth and water, right?
Yes, but
So vata is air and space, right? Air and space.
for young people to make it understand better, this is an easier way to make it understand. Let's not complicate it with two doshas, two
But
elements.
vata is air and space, right?
Yeah.
Or just air and space.
Air and space.
So vata is air and space, pitta is fire, and kapha is water and earth, right?
Exactly.
Okay. And that's 5 elements on the basis of which Ayurveda functions.
Yeah.
And which it says is different in everybody's body, like as a process.
Yeah. So Kapha people have more of earth element in them. So if you look at earth is heavy, earth is stable, earth is like all that is earth. So the same things, same qualities Kapha people will have. They'll be generally lazy. They will take a long time to finish any tasks. They have low motivation to do anything. Such kind of people fall under Kapha. But at the same time, Kapha people are some of the best
leaders.
Leaders, I wouldn't say, but
decision makers.
Kapha people are the most loyal, nurturing, loving. Somebody who will be like trustworthy. At the same time, they can have conditions like diabetes, they can have hypothyroidism, they can have fibroids, they can have so many such conditions can happen to Kapha people. So this is the simplest explanation of Vata, Pitta and Kapha for you, Kartikeya.
So I want to understand also, let's say everybody is born with these elements, right? But when they are born, are these already, there's already a doshas level, or they're all healed when they're born?
No. In Ayurveda what we say is Shukra Shunita Garbhashayastam Atma Prakriti Vikara Samorchitam Garbhetyajate. That means at the time of Garbha is when the Garbha is formed. When that sperm and ovum unites to form the first cell, Prakriti is determined. And that
can have doshas?
That Prakriti, that means say you are like a Pitta Kapha person, and that is the Prakriti which is given by your parents, and that is determined at that time. For the rest of your life, you will have the same Prakriti until you die, but at certain point in time, because of lifestyle, because of environment, etc., you can have imbalance. Say you are a Pitta Kapha person, you can have a Vata imbalance. And you may feel that, oh, am I
You
wrong?
don't think we can change that core Prakriti from the beginning? Because I think we can.
We cannot change the core Prakriti. Because
Does
it is
Ayurveda say
exactly
that?
like the first cell. Of
Huh?
course, Ayurveda says that.
What does it say exactly?
That at the time of, that's why I said it with shloka. What is it? It is said in this shloka where it talks about the definition of garbha.
Yeah.
Shukra Shonita Garbhashayastam. Shukra and Shonita means egg and ovum. Garbhashayastam, inside the uterus. Atma Prakriti Vikara Sammurchita. Atma, Prakriti, everything comes at that point, and that is called Garbha. So Prakriti is decided inside the womb at that moment you are conceived.